Hey, Grace family. Hope you've all been well this week. It's been definitely a very wild season for us, coming out of 2020 into 2021. And certainly we're in a place in life where God has brought us through, but there's still so much uncertainty. There's still so much uncertainty and so much up in the air in all of our lives. And surely we each have our own different circumstances that God sees and God knows. And what I wanted to share with us today was a passage that encouraged me as I was going through this week, thinking about the future and different circumstances going on with health and different circumstances going on with family. Really makes me come to a place where I seek out the Lord in His Word, and this passage came to mind this week as I was going through the Word. And so Psalm 91, a very beautiful psalm written by King David in a portion in his life when enemies were all around him. There was so much uncertainty in his future as well. He writes this psalm reminding himself of who God is and who God is to him. And I'll just read from the first few verses here. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God whom I trust. And so we see here that, David views God in the most turbulent times of his life as his fortress. And he mentions his refuge and his fortress, right? Refuge, fortress. What type of imagery do we get in mind here? We think of whatever sort of wild landscape is going on outside of a fortress, no matter what sort of forces or enemies or opponents are coming towards you. A fortress and a refuge provides for us a safe place, right? A place of safety, a place of peace, of rest, amidst the turmoil that exists on the outside. And to David, that's what was most important to him at this moment. And he sees that in his God. And so when I consider the perspective of David in this passage, I consider my own perspective when I look to the circumstances existing in my life. Two things I gain from this passage. One, that God, if we view Him as our refuge and our fortress, then He helps give us peace amidst the physical difficulties and challenges of life. I'm talking health. I'm talking, provision, whether or not next day something will, food will be on the table. These different, what does the future even look like for my family? So things like this. God is a refuge and a fortress in that, which doesn't always mean that things go the way we desire, but it does mean that God, in the midst of it, we can go to God and we can rest in Him, knowing that He is sovereign, He is good, and He is loving, despite the things going on around us. And that can sometimes be a challenging thing. And I think our sermon series through Habakkuk has helped address some of that. But the second thing that I gained from this is that God is not only our physical refuge, we lean to Him for provision in everyday life, but He is our spiritual refuge. The different things that may plague my heart, the anxieties, the uncertainty, really at the end of the day, the insecurity before me and God, am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be loved? I find refuge in Jesus. I find my fortress ultimately in Jesus, in the person and work of Jesus on the cross. As New Covenant believers, we get the vantage point of seeing this passage in light of Christ. To David, he may have seen it in light of God the Father, but we see it in light of God the Son, the entirety of who God is and what He's done for us on the cross and through the gospel. And so, though my life may fail me, though my job may fail me, though my government may fail me, though my friends, my family may ultimately fail me, God never will. God never will. What He promises in His Word that I will never leave nor forsake you. He holds true to that. He will never leave us be. He will never leave us to ourselves. He will never abandon us. On the cross, Christ was abandoned, so then I will never have to be before God. And so that was an encouragement to me this week as I was reading through the Psalms. And there's a lot more to that Psalm. And again, it's Psalm 91. I suggest to everyone listening, just give it a look. A lot more there that we can glean from and gain about who God is in our life, and having Him as our protector and as our shield amidst the challenges of life. But hopefully that was an encouragement to you as well, and a good reminder of just the gospel of grace and all that we have in Jesus. Hope you all have a wonderful week. God bless.